Alrighty guys, welcome back to my second round recap of the 2021 AFL season. Let's have a look on how we went on the weekend. We scored, as in I scored 2,245, which was in the top 7%. It's not too bad, it's probably around the middle of the pack there. I was expecting something higher, but the rookie roulette got the best of me and my premiums underperformed, but people can say that every week, so there's no excuse there. That brings my total score to 4,382, which is in the top 2%. So we're still off to a better start this year than we were last year, so it's still good signs ahead. I actually increased my ranking by 66 spots, which is a good sign. Let's see how my team performed. Alright, we'll start in the back line. Rory Laird was terrific again. 121 Supercoach points, brings his average to 111.5. He'll continue to play in the midfield. I'm not worried about him at all. He always finds the pill. He wins a lot of contested ball when he tackles, so he's the least of my worries on my team at the moment. Caleb Daniel, now 66 points. That is not what I wanted from a premium defender. He did have 26 disposals, but he had 9 turnovers. He still had an 82% efficiency, but those turnovers are a real killer in Supercoach. And I think he only had 2 contested possessions. That's not very good from the little helmet man. Hopefully he should bounce back, but you know, without having Lloyd and I don't have Jaden Short, I've really lost a lot of points this round in my back line. And that leads me off to Tommy Stewart, who scored 83 points, which is probably not good enough either from a premium defender, but he's still pretty consistent, and I reckon that's as low as he really goes for the year, is in that 80 range, so we can expect him to bounce back next week. The Doctor, oh God, I do regret starting him now. Like, he had 25 disposals or something like that, most of them kicks, but he doesn't win enough contested ball, and he turns it over occasionally. He had a couple incidents on the weekend where he kicked down the full very late in the second and third quarter, which hurt his score pretty bad and probably cost him the ton. His role is pretty good, and I expect him to improve a little bit when the game slows down, but because it's moving at such a quick pace at the moment, I don't think that helps him a lot. He's still taking plenty of marks, which is also good, but I don't want 80 scores from Doherty anymore. I need him to start getting the hundreds, and that's 2 weeks in a row where he's failed to score the 100. He's a little concerned, but I still expect him to finish as my D6. I will not upgrade him now. I could get Jaden Short for him, but that's a wasted trade for me. Jordan Clark was okay with 67 points. Not as good as his 80 in the previous week. I do still think he played well enough to keep his spot, so I'm happy to have him there still. He will increase in value this week and the next few weeks. As long as he keeps playing well and keeps running games out, his position shouldn't be in any jeopardy. So Tommy Highmore with 77. He only had about 9 or 10 possessions. But he did some really good work. I didn't see the majority of the game, but that's a pretty good score from a rookie, and you'll take that at D6 all day of the week, which now leads us to Jacob Kosicki and Harry Sharp on the bench. Kosicki kicked a goal, scored 38. He should have kicked more. He dropped a few marks. He was outbodied and outpositioned by the Richmond defenders. So it's a bit of a learning experience for him, but I don't expect him to get dropped. I thought Tim O'Brien was worse. He can't even be competitive in the air, let alone bring the ball to ground for the small forward. So Cosby will remain in the Hawks side, but he is definitely a bench option, along with Harry Sharp, who I believe will be dropped this week. He only had the 5 disposals. Pretty underwhelming, but it's probably to be expected from the young fella there still in high school. So that might open up a loophole for me, which I do need, because I have been risking the captain gone for the last 2 weeks. We'll get to that soon. And leads us to our midfield here with Lachie Neale at 75 points. Again, 2 sub-80 scores to start the year. He was a hard tag by Mark O'Connor. Didn't find enough of the ball. He did have 20 odd in the end, I believe, but just no impact on the contest whatsoever. It is a bit concerning now that his price will drop over 100,000. A lot of people will trade him out to get some performing midfielders into their squad, but I've got to leave him there. I'm not wasting the trade just because he's going to go down in value by 100,000, which is a lot, mind you, but I expect him to bounce back, and I like his ownership number to go down, and he's been a reliable scorer for the last 4 or 5 years, and I don't expect that to change. He's still going to get to that 110 average, I believe, so we'll just leave him on the field for now. Clayton Oliver was superb. 133 Supercoach points, had 30 odd disposals, half of them contested as always. Just a clearance and stoppage beast. I've been saying it for years now. When Patrick Cripps was on the rise and everyone's raving about Cripps being the best contested ball winner and best clearance player in the competition, I always said Clayton Oliver was way better than Cripps. He's got that burst of speed, but he's also clean with his hands and he can mark overhead and he just wins more with the ball. And he's just a better footballer in my opinion. So I'm loving Clary this season. He's averaging 127, which is probably the most of any of my players. Great pick as always. Jack McRae had 41 disposals and 137 Supercoach points. He was unbelievable. Did turn it over a couple of times, but that's okay. You take 137 every day of the week. Expect him to average around 120 to 125 in that Dogs midfield, which is looking really juicy. Zach Merritt with a 91 in a really poor performance by the Dons. They were absolutely dreadful, so I'm surprised that Merritt actually got to 91. I think he ended up being the third highest scorer. We'll take that, but come on, Zach. We need to start getting some tons here, mate. You're really letting me down as a premium, but I'll back you in, mate. We'll leave you in. We won't be trading you out. Never trade premiums is what I've been saying all the time, especially premiums that have shown in the past that they are really good scorers like Merritt. So don't trade him. Titch was good with 109, but he did have 40 disposals, so that is a little concerning. But that's been happening for the last few years now. His disposals never translate to high Supercoach scores. He uses it by hand too much, and when he does turn it over a few too many times, that will hurt his scores. That's all right though. I think that his lowest scores will be in that 100 mark anyway. I always think he will have 30 plus every week. He's just very good at creating space. He's real good endurance athletes. He works harder than anyone else on the ground, positions himself really well around the contest. So good on you, Titch. Now the rookies, Braden Campbell, Tom Powell, Errol Goulden. Thank you very much. The Sydney rookies, especially Errol Goulden this year, have been amazing. That's Errol's 136 again this week. He was brilliant. Hit the scoreboard, plenty of marks as always, and he found plenty of the pill. And Campbell was good off the half back line with elite ball use. He's starting to look more comfortable at the level now, but these Sydney rookies should be on your field now. There's no question whether they should be on your bench. Just leave them on your field. They look really good. I always thought Errol Goulden was a special talent when I watched him in his junior years, and the only knock on him was his height, but as we've seen with Caleb Daniel and players like Kane Lambert and, those Lockie Neal, height doesn't mean anything in AFL anymore. So if you're a good footballer, you're just a good footballer. That's why Errol Goulden's been performing pretty well. And we'll go to the bench. James Jordan was good for the D's again. He won't get dropped at all. 82 points, you beauty. Sammy Berry had more tackles than disposals. No concern there as always. He just tackling beast. Keep him on the bench, that's fine. 69 points from him, well done. And McNeil was, he's alright. He scored 55 points, better than what he was last week. I thought he was going to get dropped this round, but he held his spot, and it looks like he will hold his spot again. We're looking pretty good with our rookies. Now that leads us to the rucks. Max Gawn and Brodie Grundy, 137 and 135. Thank you, Jesus, for bouncing back. If Grundy scored below 100 again, I had no idea what I was going to do with him, especially Flinny here on the bench, who scored 78. If he scored another 100, I was really considering downgrading Grundy and then upgrading someone in my foreline to like a Martin maybe, or grab another midfielder, but thankfully Gordon and Grundy both bounced back, and that's why we spent the dollars on them. Expect more of that going forward, and they are still very reliable vice-captain options. Now if we go to the forward line, headlined by my man Josh Dunkley. He didn't have much of the pill compared to Bontempelli, McRae, Smith and Libba, but he did win a lot of contested ball and he had a lot of tackles, which elevated his scoring. He finished with 132 Supercoach points and he's averaging 123. I told you all that he was going to be the number one scoring forward this year, and I still believe it, and you probably start believing it soon too. He is a weapon in contested situations and just a really good footballer. Jack Siebel scored 72 points. I thought he died halfway through the third quarter when he went off with a sore ankle, but he got that strapped up and he came back on and he finished off the game pretty strongly. So he was probably looking at around a 90 score, but because he went off the ground for that period of time, that did affect him. North were terrible, losing by 60 points again, so I don't know, Zeeble was pretty good, and I still think he'll play across that half-back line. I'm happy to have him at forward too at the moment. Jars Impey was brilliant with 123 Supercoach points. His new role of half-back is really enticing. Thank you, Clarko. He's pretty good in the air. He can take a strong mark above his head. He knows when to spoil as well, which I liked what I saw on the weekend. His kicking is a little 50-50 at times, but he does provide a bit of speed and a bit of run and carry off the half-back line, which is what they need at Hawthorn. So he will continue to play that position and that role, and don't expect high 120s like that again, or let alone 100 scores from Impey. Expect him to drop back around to 75s to 90 range, but that's what you want. So he's going to get a good price range price increase next week and for the next few weeks to come. Chatty Warner, like I said about the Sydney rookies, just keep him on your field. He played really good, kicked a goal or two, I can't remember. 94 Supercoach points. He had 20 odd disposals, playing in a midfield role and up forward. He looked brilliant. Again, the Swans have really impressed me over the first 2 rounds. I didn't think they were going to be much this year, but those rookies and the return of Lance Franklin and Logan McDonald has been really good too. There's really, it's increased the Swans' chances of possibly making finals this year. Now, this is where I stuffed up a bit. I've got James Rowe and bloody Anthony Scott, 19 and 23 on the field. Both very poor, so what's that get me? 42 points between them, and then I've got Bergman with 58 and Ruckman with 77 on the bench. So, the rookie roulette, it is really. I've lost over 100 points there, and if I had gathered that 100 points, would probably have really improved my ranking. But, last week I got it right, this week I didn't. Other people have been the same, so we can't complain there. As long as these players continue to play, I do not care. The price rises will come. I will get the rookies right. Just give me the price increases. Thank you. And that pretty much sums up round 2. I am going to lead with Vice Captain Grundy for round 3 and Captain Gawn again. I'm not particularly happy on where I am at the moment in my ranking, but it is a lot better than last year, and it's a lot better than some other Supercoach nuts that I do know of. So I've got a pretty happy. I will not make a trade this week again, so I've still got 30 trades up the sleeve. I know a lot of people that will be using 4 trades in the first two weeks, so I'm glad I'm not doing that. So it's good signs ahead, which means I can really save them for the latter part of the season where I'll make a real good run of it, like I did last year. All good signs at the moment. Can't wait for round 3 as usual. And let us know in the comments below how your team went, and if you need to make any trades or if you have any recommendations of what I should do for my team. I'll be glad to hear all your thoughts. Thank you again. We'll see you in the next video. Cheers.